Great evening, great Saturday evening, everyone. Tis Catherine Beasley, and I'm coming to you today with the second part of our three-part series on how to recognize the 6 stages of caregiving. Because there are 6 whole stages that are recognized or identified. And you may call them something different, but the behaviors and things that you should be looking out for remain the same. So the 6 again are that you start out as the expectant caregiver, possibly not yet caregiving and having to understand that role before you move on to the freshman caregiver stage where you're kind of dabbling in caregiving, you're assisting, not really taking over the role. Your loved one, unlike in the expectant caregiving role, knows now or has been diagnosed, whereas before they may not have been. And so you're kind of helping, but you're not fully involved. And today, or the third one rather, is the entrenched caregiver. That we'll talk about. The pragmatic caregiver is the fourth one, and those are the two we'll talk about today. And then the last two, the transitioning caregiver and the Godspeed caregiver. So when you are the entrenched caregiver, unlike the second stage, the freshman caregiver, you are actually in it, right? You're in this thing for real. You are either living with your loved one, they may be living with you, or you're spending exceptionally large amounts of time in their sphere. And really, it is a 24-hour thing at this point because they can't live by themselves as the disease continues to progress. They need someone with them constantly to make sure that they're doing the right things. They're not putting themselves in danger. They're not falling prey to all of those lovely phone calls that you get. As you get older, they just know it, and you're getting all of these phone calls to try to get seniors to sign up for this and give personal information, right? So you need to be there. And so you're in this thing as the entrenched caregiver. And as such, pretty much your life and the cadence of your life revolves around caregiving, unfortunately, right? You are now fitting your life around your role as a caregiver instead of, right, letting that person and their care fit into what you've already been doing on a day-to-day basis for your life. And that's one of the harder parts of caregiving that we have to experience and put up with, if I say it in such straightforward terms, because they are incapable. The person that you're caring for with Alzheimer's is incapable of just doing what you say, no matter how many times you say it. Even if they understand it 1 second, they're going to forget, right? So you really do have to switch your life to fit their care. And so one of the things that's going to be really important for you at this stage and even before preparing for this is to get a routine together, one that works for you, but really one that works for them and then for you as well. Because as much as you can keep them on a routine, there's less room for agitation or anxiety to creep in on their behalf. And which means that you kind of have more moments of peace and not of, the frazzled and upset that they have when they are not settled. So you want to make sure that you create a routine that you can follow. You want to make sure that you either, and this one is hard, you want to reach out for help from loved ones and family, friends who are close enough that would help you out, or you want to accept the assistance from someone because it's hard to also accept help from people. I added a post talking about grief groceries, and I talked about too my inability to accept help. If you ask me, how can I help you? What do you need? I couldn't tell you that. I didn't feel comfortable necessarily saying I need X, Y, and Z. Sometimes I couldn't even think about what it was, didn't want to. So when you have people who are offering to assist you, let them, right? Even write out a list of the things that you might need and let those folks know these are the things that I need. So when they're asking for help, they can pick something and do it, but accept the help or learn to ask for help if you have the ability to do so, because it's at this stage where the burnout can really kick in and, the emotional strain can really kick in and take you out. And it makes you a less effective caregiver if you are not caring for yourself while this is happening as well. And that goes for your health both physical and mental health, right? Spiritual health as well. So you want to make sure that you're accepting help, and as much as you can, you're going to set some boundaries again, to make sure that you are not going to feel certain feelings that will have you feeling extra overwhelmed or even more resentful about things. And you will feel all of the feels, by the way. So your your emotions are going to be everywhere. One minute you're happy and grateful to be in a position to be able to care for your loved one. The next minute you may be angry, you may be sad, you may be mourning the loss of your life, the relationships that you tend to let go to the side. So you want to make sure that you hold on to the friendships that you have, and um, stay engaged with people other than your immediate family, and that are involved with the caregiving process too, so that you don't lose your sense of self. But you are going to go through all of those ranges of feelings, and this is when you need to show yourself exceptional grace, right? Accept and live in that moment, sit in the moment of the feelings, right? And accept that these are just things are going to happen, that you can't control. And so you want to make sure that you not only allow yourself to feel those feels, but you not wallow in it. Have the feelings, and then look for a solution and move forward, right? So that you again can remain capable of providing the best care as possible for your loved one. And then another thing to focus on is to seek to understand the behavior, like what's the driving cause or root cause of the behavior that your loved one may be exhibiting, that poses issues for you and them. When you understand certain issues, you can figure out what the triggers are, and you can help avoid your loved one encountering those triggers that would set them off. So the more that you understand their behavior and what happens after X, Y, and Z happens, then you can prepare for it, or at least know, right? One, try to keep it from happening. Two, otherwise you see it happening, and then you know what to do to de-escalate the situation. So you want to try to pay attention to the behaviors, understand them, so that you can correct them or help to guide them back around, right? And then the fourth one is called the pragmatic caregiver. I like to call it the advocate caregiver, right? Because at this stage, your loved one again has progressed even farther into this disease, mid, right, moderate to severe stage Alzheimer's, where they're going at this state, and so they are less capable to understand things, to remember. Themselves, and instances, and information about themselves that might be relevant for the care that they are receiving at this stage, right? And so you need to be a staunch advocate, and I give you permission, I beg of you to stand on the fact that you are responsible for someone, and that you have a right to do everything you need to do to secure them the care that they need. Question everything. There's no care provider anywhere on earth that should feel like their word is God, and you shouldn't ask any questions. So ask the questions to make sure that you understand what's going on, and that you agree with the care that is going to be given for your loved one. Make sure that you have the information. So being able to answer the questions that your loved one is unable to answer, especially when you're going into a medical situation, or one that will impact the care that they'll receive based on those answers. You need to know the answers that will get you the care that you want, and that may take some research into what, in order to qualify for this benefit, what do I need to be able to say or have said, things like that. So try to make sure that you are preparing yourself to be able to answer those questions. Have it written out so that when it's asked, you can just go ahead and read it to them, or you've memorized it by then. But be able to answer those questions in the way, truthfully, but in the way that will get you the care for your loved one that they need at that time and deserve. And two, lastly, I'll say this about this stage as an advocate. Insurance companies, it's their job to save their company's money, the people who, the underwriters and the people that you're going to talk to first, right? The first line of, um, of communication with the insurance, they need to tell you no, right? Whether your insurance covers something or not, chances are oftentimes, I won't even blanketly say it, but oftentimes the first answer is going to be no. And you need to understand that there is an appeals process to everything. Ask for that appeals process. Um, and what you need to do to follow it. Go to the providers and ask them what they recognize as the key pieces that need to be said in that appeal in order for it to be overturned, so that you will then be qualified and approved for the care that your loved one deserves and has paid for. Right? Medicare, Medicaid, they've worked their whole life and contributed to Medicare and Medicaid, and therefore they should very much so be able to reap the benefits of that when they actually need it. So always ask questions, always appeal any denials, especially the first time. I would go so far as to say appeal as many times as you can until you get the answer you want, especially when it comes to SSI. And I won't go down that rabbit hole, but as many times as you need to appeal, you just keep doing it, because it has been a common fact that I've heard from many people, that you kind of hear no many times, and then finally you'll get that yes. Nothing may have changed, but it's the fact that you kept on and you kept on, or you've added key pieces of information, new information that maybe shouldn't have made a difference, but you're giving more information to support your request for assistance, and now you get it. So those are the two that we'll discuss today: entrenched and pragmatic caregivers. I call it the advocate. And again, you can be in more than one of these stages at a time. And throughout all of them, getting support is going to be key. And support from many different areas: familiar support, support from any outside support groups of caregivers who are going through the same thing that you are. It's really more empowering for you. Even though your friends and family love you, it's even more empowering for you, and maybe soothing for you to get in a room with people that you may not know, but who are experiencing exactly what you're experiencing at that time, that can really understand what's going on and give you the support you need, or just be a listening ear, because most often folks will listen but always want to try to provide you with a solution, and oftentimes there is nothing to provide a solution for. It just is what it is. You want to get it off your chest, etc. So seek support, accept support, and take care of yourselves. I will talk to you tomorrow with the last two stages of caregiving. All right, bye-bye.